He's done a lot, and it's not just the things that he's done on the field. Even though that's a huge part of it, but what Nick has done from a maturation standpoint is become a better pro. Things that he didn't really understand as a guy, and most guys as rookies don't really understand how significant it is to have a professional lifestyle, and not just how you prepare in the building, but how you prepare from a nutritional standpoint to maximize your physical ability to do the necessary things you have to do on the field. And then with his experience within the system and getting reps and having a more understanding of what his responsibility is, the things going on around him, and obviously being a great communicator, you can just see the game slow down for him through his understanding. And so it's one of those things that I didn't get a chance to see the beginning, but I definitely had an opportunity to see really his maturation process, and it's great to see, and it's still ongoing.
Gerald, we had talked a couple weeks ago about sharing snaps among four safeties, substantial package snaps.
Mhm.
Obviously, last Sunday was a little different in terms of Rowe and Jason playing the vast majority. Javon got a substantial package. Brandon didn't play a lot. Was that entirely game plan based, or did you, Flo, make the decision that you'd like to settle on primarily two or three guys as opposed to giving a lot of snaps to four guys?
A lot of it is really based on what the game plan is and what the defensive personnel packages are. And sometimes, however the games may go, maybe certain defensive personnel packages that may have been planned to be called in certain scenarios just don't play themselves out in the game as much as maybe we had already anticipated. Because obviously once the game starts, you have a plan and you have to adjust throughout the course of time. And so sometimes you look at the play count and it's like, okay, this guy played this many snaps, this guy played this many snaps, but it isn't like any of those guys aren't trusted to be in some of those roles to contribute for us defensively. And so we'll always look at that on a week-to-week basis, how we match up offensively, what we want to do with the fortunate ability to have so many guys, especially specifically to the safety room, that can contribute. And each one of those guys have different skill sets. So that's something that we'll always look at, and we know that those guys can operate and perform for us whenever we see fit.
I know that's package based, but are you worried about players not being able to get into the flow of the game when you do that?
Not necessarily, to be honest with you. I mean, it really depends on kind of how the game's going. Not everybody's going to play every single snap. And so whenever you are in there, all the details and the execution of the details have to be done regardless of how many snaps you've been in there, once here, once there, or the full entire time. You can get a feel for maybe, hey, this guy's speed and stuff like that. But for the most part, whenever you're in there, you have to operate at a high level.
Where's the point of emphasis where you'd like to see growth from Javon beyond just obviously communication we talked at length about beyond that? Where else?
There's so many things, not only just for Javon, but really for us as an entire unit. And talking specifically to the safeties, I think really the consistency and the execution of the details, and really the smallest things that end up being the biggest things that we need to do. Whether it be pad level, hand placement, eye discipline, alignments, depth in the deep defense, breaking off the proper foot, transition our eyes to our angles before we take our feet there. So there's so many things that, again, not only for Javon and his development as a young guy, but really all of us collectively as a unit. When you start playing against the teams like we're playing against this week, where competitiveness and talent are always going to be there, but the level of detail when you're playing against an offense that can execute with precision like this are the things that we have to consistently do.
Thanks.
Mhm.